Hi, everybody. Welcome to Selling to the CIO. Hopefully everybody's having a great day and a great week. And I know Easter weekend's coming up this weekend, so have a wonderful Easter with your friends and family. So today on the line, I have Chris Blake from Veeam. How you doing, Chris?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you got it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I am a account executive with Veeam software. I cover upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine in our commercial sector. Been here for 3 years and been in the IT industry for going on like 12 years or so. And I came from a partner background, so I was in a lot of similar shoes to a lot of your E+ resellers. So completely, I feel for those guys. It's a rough spot they've been in the last year or so, but definitely happy to be here. And it's a really good, Veeam's been a great company, especially we've been doing really well in this pandemic right now. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
You're certainly in a good space where everybody wants to have a conversation. So that's awesome. And, you came highly recommended from some folks as, the feedback on you as a guy who gets it, right? Who's doing things right in this, so-called pandemic that we're in. Well, not so-called, but this pandemic that we're in. It's been pretty tough for a lot of us to try to sell and, create opportunities and get to our customers. Sales is usually I say the best job in the world, but this last year has definitely been taxing on a lot of us. So let's just get right into it. What do you think's been, I know you've had some success during the last year, which, is great, right? Listen, I think part of that's you're in a great space and people want to talk to you, but I know you do a lot of things right. So I'd love to be able to share with the audience what's been successful for you. What are you doing these days to generate activity? How do you reach out to your customers? What are you doing that catches their interest? So, let's freestyle around some of that if you don't mind.
Yeah. So what have we been doing to reach out to our customers? I'm very fortunate. We have a great marketing department, but with my team specifically over the last year, it's been more of a prescriptive focus towards demand gen, right? And you have to have an easy balance of that. And especially with, so this time last year, there's a lot of pressure that came down across all organizations, right? Things were shutting down, businesses were putting spending freezes. I had a big customer of mine, they're in the travel and hospitality business, and they were hit very, very hard to a point where they might not recover for a couple of years now. But the biggest thing, I think, it's the game doesn't change if we can't travel or go out and see our customers in person. You have to do the same course selling foundational stuff that salespeople typically do. And the biggest thing that I found was really making the effort to get a little creative with how you're reaching out to your customers, whether it be you can do the traditional email, phone call, that stuff. But for me, I really started getting close to my customers and even some prospects on like Teams and web chats and all that stuff like that. So there's different ways you got to go around it. The other area too is just from a content perspective. I think you really have to make sure that your messaging, just day in and day out, even regular conversations, has to be on point. You have to be delivering the right content to your customers and the prospects you're trying to get, right? So it's like a give-get scenario. If everyone's been, I feel like, working like over the 40-hour mark right now in IT especially, right? This year has really put a pressure on organizations. And if you're going to have a customer give you their time, you got to make sure it's worthwhile.
Yeah, that's a big, I've talked to a lot of technology leadership, and that's huge, right? And when you do get them on the phone, the chit chat piece has kind of gone down a little bit, right? They just, get to, they would say, get to the point. Tell me what you're talking about. Tell me what your offering is. Tell me why it makes good sense for my business to even consider that you're, Veeam in this case. So
Right.
that's definitely something I've heard a lot of. Make sure your messaging is clear, concise, you're ready. And I also heard it before, right? You're calling a lot of people that you usually wouldn't get on the phone, but their work phones are going right to their cell phone. So you're actually,
Mm-hmm.
getting a lot of people to pick up that you wouldn't typically get in a cold call situation. And a lot of people aren't ready for that. Right? They're used to it going to voicemail and like leaving a message, right? So they get shot. So
Agreed.
I always say, be prepared for when they pick up the phone that you better have something to say, right? Um, so have you guys had some success? What kind of unique events are you doing to capture these folks? Because I think people are, like you said, they're sitting at their computer all day long, right? We're working a lot longer. We're not taking the breaks. As salespeople too, we're not, we're used to at least getting in our car and driving somewhere for an hour potentially, right? You get that downtime. It's just constant now,
Yeah.
right? My butt's starting to hurt, honestly. So what are you seeing customers gravitate towards, like as far as the events and getting their attention? Any good luck with any of that stuff through your marketing team?
Yeah, I mean, what's been really neat about the last year is I think marketing across all manufacturers has gotten very creative, right? For
Yeah.
instance, we had a March Madness bracket thing recently, a week or two ago, that had a lot of success with customers. So getting creative on that standpoint, at first there was a lot of like WebEx, like beer and wine tastings, right? I think people kind of got a little over that. At first there's a lot of traction with that, and we had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of success with that. But I think the biggest thing when you're doing these type of activities is make sure you're diversified in that, and you can't just stick to one thing. You got to kind of flip the script a little bit and make yourself unique on that side. So
Yeah.
events were all across the board, quite honestly, but I got to give kudos out to my marketing team because they did a great job with helping us design those and really foster that. And then the content that we delivered alongside that. At the end of the day, you got to have the right content, and you got to be playing to the challenges and problems and goals that the market is really looking at right now. And I think right now, or over the last year, we've really accelerated the technology and move to like the cloud, different types of bleeding edge technologies got looked at a little more. From our side, Office 365 has absolutely exploded with the teams, with the need to go to Teams and really establish a remote workforce. And then on top of that, we've seen a ton of cloud development in the infrastructure as a service space too, with Amazon, Azure, and Google.
Yep.
So it's a real interesting time right now for sure.
Yeah, I think the point you made about marketing is key. Same in my company at E+. Our marketing team has stepped up big time over the last year, just trying to get creative and unique ways to engage the customers. And it's really been beneficial. And I think it's driven a lot of ROI for us, right? You got to do different stuff. Like you said, the wine tastings, the bourbon tastings, they all kind of got worn out a little bit. So some of these unique things that they're coming up with is great. So, envious of companies that have great marketing companies. And I feel, it sounds like you guys are doing all the right stuff. My team is definitely doing the right stuff too. So that's definitely paid dividends. Chris, for the folks out there, young in career, I call you young in career pretty much. I'm getting up there. But
Yeah.
what's a day look like for you these days? I mean, you're home, you're not getting to go out as. I think it's starting to open up a little bit. Certainly where you are, upstate New York, but a lot of the country still, shutting down, and the customers can't see people like you used to. The big office buildings aren't going to let vendors like us in. So what's a day in the life of Chris Blake look like these days? Can you walk us through your day if you don't mind?
A day in a life. So typically it starts out, we have, I do like morning prospecting hours and then some housekeeping stuff. From there, it's my schedule, quite honestly, within the last, I'd say, month, 2 months has been completely booked out. We've been seeing a huge rebound from the past year, and whether it's different prospecting activities or we're managing POCs, it's been across the board. One of the biggest things we've been trying to do is get back in front of our partners too, just from a field standpoint. So I've been trying to articulate that into my day-to-day efforts, getting back close to, can't go meet up at a restaurant or a bar with some of your E+ folks in upstate New York. So gotta get a little creative and touch base with them in other ways, right? So
are you pretty prescriptive around your prospecting? Do you listen, let's be straight. Like, people don't love the prospect. I think the successful reps these days are really, carving out a couple hours of their day and just doing it, right? Just like, you do something enough, you're going to get great at it. Do you follow that philosophy? Is it something you kind of, have consistency around?
Yeah, and a lot of it's preparation too. So
yeah, that's
if
huge.
I'm trying to, it's a lot of work. It can be years of work. It depends, right? Depends on the access you can get, who is in the account. I remember I used to do this when I was on the partner side. I would try to get a map of a company's entire IT portfolio, everything they use, from networking to storage, servers, cloud, even so on and so forth, down to the application basis, right? And I still do that now. So I try to get that big picture, and then also paint a who's who in the zoo type of deal. So we know who are our champions, who could be someone that could really coach us on how to get to the right decision makers, and who ultimately needs to make these decisions. A lot of the biggest things right now within the last 6 months to 8 months have been getting laser focused on who needs to be involved in order to not only get traction in a deal, but how to execute on a deal from a customer perspective. And that's something that I think it wasn't as, especially right now with how things have been, it's been very effective in walking a customer through our whole sales cycle, but also finding the right solution and really getting those underpinning challenges and goals that they're trying to get to, right? So it's all about preparation. I'm a big sports guy, so I articulate it to this: if you do the homework, if you're prepared, and you might have nerves when you're going into an account, right? You're talking to a CIO, big time CIO or something like that, but you're not nervous. There's a difference between having nerves and nervous. Nerves means that you're prepared, but you care about what you're doing and it's all on the line, right? Whereas nervous means you're not prepared. So we tried with my team, to make sure that everyone's been prepared. They know what they're trying to do when they're trying to get into accounts. They're identifying challenges, problems, and that we take into effect all of the major players in an account too.
Yeah, you said some important things there. The homework aspect, right? No excuse not to do the homework, because there's so much information that our companies give us access to. Ranking, discovery.org, all those good things. LinkedIn now, you can go to Facebook, all the social media platforms to get the information about people. That's huge, right? And you said, you said something important, like, it sounds like laser focus on who needs to be involved to help push your situation along, right? Because you can waste a lot of time, certainly in the sales cycle, talking to people who have no impact on what the hell you're trying to sell them, right? So I think that's key, right? Trying to get to the right people as fast as possible.
Yes.
And the sports analogy is a good one. I know you probably are a Bills fan. I don't know, or a New England fan. What do I see back there? Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So right? The Bills have been a lot more prepared than they have been in the last several years. You got to, sounds like you look like you have a team now. So that's a good thing.
They definitely have, for sure.
Yeah. So that's all good stuff. The preparation piece these days is what we see a lot of people don't do. And if you're calling into a specific industry, know the industry, right? Because you're going to get these folks on the line, and they're going to want to see that you did do some homework, and that what matters to them, and some of the terms, whether you're calling into financials or healthcare or manufacturing, whatever. Know some of those buzzwords for sure, so you can have some unique dialogue with these people that just the average Joe just doesn't do the preparation, because so many people do not prepare. And that's the difference between a great rep like yourself and the rep who doesn't make it, in my opinion. So yeah, we're right up against it. The 15 minutes, Chris. Any last wisdom you could give to somebody, somebody just starting in sales, young in career, just graduated, just got their first job, selling? What's give them some words of wisdom.
The biggest thing I was told was, and I was very fortunate to have some great mentors, was you just got to jump right into the fire and you got to embrace it. The challenge with technology is there's so many different areas. And when you're coming right out of college, I was in the same boat. You hear all the acronyms and you're like, what is this, right? Yeah. You can't get held up on it. That is a big component. You do have to do your homework with studying and making sure you know the technology, right? But at the end of the day, you got to get to and find a way to find out what goals, problems, and challenges are for customers and make it simple, right? It's our job to make technology simple, not complex. We're a simple solution to many complex problems. And I think if you can articulate that well, you will succeed.
Yeah, that's great advice, Chris. Well, dude, thanks a million for jumping on. I wish you luck, with this year. What I've heard, you're going to continue to kill it. And I appreciate you taking the time to jump on and talk with us.
Awesome. Thanks, David. I appreciate it too.
All right, buddy. I look forward to working with you more.
Yep.
Talk to you soon.
We'll see you around.
All right.